There is something I've been thinking about for the longest time. It has to do with culture and the need for propagating and preserving culture. It is often told to us that as the younger generation or as any current generation, it is incumbent upon us that we must preserve and that we must propagate culture. And even though such a thing is told to us again and again, and even though such an act is carried out, even if in symbolisms again and again, over and over by many people, but it is not entirely clear to me and to many people what they mean by culture and why they feel like language as being a part of culture or songs as being a part of culture must be propagated. If language is, as is often understood, just a means of communication, then why don't we replace a language, for example, Kashmiri of my people, with a language, with a modern language, which could be an amalgamation of different languages? Why do we have to stick to that one language, that one script, which somehow people are resistant towards remembering? I've been thinking about this for the longest time, and I've been writing about this for a very long time, trying to understand what it means. And in that journey, sometime a couple of months ago, I was listening to a I was listening to a kawali by Ustad Abu Farid Ayaz, and I'm going to try attaching the link in the description, but I will tell you what I heard and what I think about it. So before the kawali itself starts, Mr. Abu Farid, in his Ustad Abu Farid, in his characteristic way, gives a little bit of background, a little bit of historical and philosophical background about kawali itself. And because I'm assuming that the kalam that he sings in this kawali is originally sung by Amir Khusro, who he claims is his ancestor. Abu Farid says that Amir Khusro, in addition to singing songs and writing poetry, would also sing wedding songs often. This, he says, he would do so that in the body of the song, in the body of the wedding song, he could embed certain important lessons of culture in such a way that through communicate through the by being embedded in the body of the wedding song, the cultural wisdom would get the camouflage and the defense and the protection it needs to go from one era to another and to resist state censorship and the collective public amnesia. So I was trying to understand, if I had to explain that to someone, if I had to explain that to someone who's not been thinking about culture in this way for the longest time, how would you explain this role of an artist or the role of a writer, a singer, a filmmaker in preserving culture? And preservation of culture, the more I understand it, is about preservation of the everyday wisdom and knowledge that is accrued and accumulated on account of your experiences in everyday life. Now, why must this be preserved? There are two reasons. One is that the state always wants to hoard all the information and weaponize it against you, because the more aware you are of your own powers, the less dependent you will want to be on the state. So it is in the state's interest to take all this collective wisdom that is gathered by its people and keep it with itself, and hence make it look like they are the sources and safekeepers of this knowledge. Another thing that threatens the preservation of culture is the amnesia of people. If a generation finds certain wisdoms on account of adversity and the life of the next generation becomes better, because the antecedent or the precedent generation did their due diligence in making the life better, then there is incentive in forgetting the difficult things, the everyday meniality of discipline. So often culture is lost, but sometimes through symbolisms and sometimes through songs, you can propagate and preserve the largest part of the cultural readings. So in this Qawwali, when Abu Farid mentions that his his ancestor Amir Khusro embedded certain things in the song itself, I I thought of the process of pollination, and specifically I was imagining a sheep who is grazing and who is frolicking through a meadow and eating and grazing at the same time. And as he is grazing, certain pollen and certain seeds get embedded, get stuck in his fur, in the body of the sheep. And if the same sheep is being witnessed from a distance, from far away, the observer of the sheep from far away does not think that the sheep is collecting pollen, or that the sheep is collecting seed from one place to another. He thinks that the sheep is grazing, and the sheep grazes and he goes from one place to another. And by the time he's crossed some distance, the pollen and the seeds have shedded off his fur and they've fallen into another point in space and time. So that is what Amir Khusro has done, in my understanding, with these wedding songs, where he's embedded the wisdom in such a way that people think it's a sheep grazing in the meadows. And to Amir Khusro, it is the propagation of a seed from one place to another. Now, why must this cumbersome activity be done? Why must a writer kill his ego, and risk being forgotten? Why must he think that this act is so important that this wisdom needs to be propagated and promoted and preserved from one generation to another? And that is another matter altogether. And I hopefully will be able to talk about it in another video.